We made it work.
One.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end our green room then.
Yeah.
And now we're here. All right. So I'll say it again. So this is David Stidger from Open Door in Huntsville, Alabama. Open Door is a locally based company in Huntsville, Alabama that uses inclusion, mentorship, community-based instruction, and one-on-one job and social coaching to promote employability and self-sustainability for individuals on the autism spectrum. So thanks so much for coming today, David. I'm really appreciative
Yeah.
of your time.
Thank you so much.
Great, and I'm glad we got the tech to work. So I wanted to start this off by framing the whole idea of the dignity of work, which is something that we have started to use a lot in the world of neurodiversity and employment. And we hear a lot of people using it in talks. And it's this whole idea that work is dignity and that those who want to work and are able to work should be able to go ahead and get a job and have equal opportunities to do so.
Sure.
And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is a UN document, they speak a lot about inherent dignity and equality of all persons. And in Article 23, they specifically mention that everyone should have the right to work, the freedom of choice of employment, and favorable remuneration to ensure the ability to sustain existence worth of human existence, or I'm sorry, of human dignity. But we have this problem with, in the United States at least, where we have an 85% unemployment rate with some of our neurodiverse clients. And so that's sort of incongruent with this idea of the dignity of work and the availability of work for everyone who wants a job. But that's where organizations like Open Door come in. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about Open Door and what your mission is and like what's the story? How did Open Door begin?
Absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about, neurodiversity in and of itself and in the workplace. So Open Door was an idea that I had with my background being in one-on-one intensive clinical therapy. And it first kind of sprouted from the lack of just services, especially in Huntsville. So when I was in the realm of clinical therapy, this was early intervention. Everything was very early intervention focused, which is absolutely, the utmost importance. And we kept getting contacted when I was doing some clinic administration there, and it was, do you provide anything for adults? And unfortunately, we didn't. And when I say we didn't, I mean nothing, no services for adults. So at the time, I was working on the side with a young man. He was about 25, and his parents wanted him to work with a male with a little bit of background in working with those on the spectrum, and just kind of shadow him as he volunteered at the local library. There was a few behavior issues there and things of that nature, but he enjoyed his work and he was happy in that environment and he was social. And he had a sense of pride after we would finish every day. And it just kind of hit me, this is something that is so beneficial to someone in the regard of just feeling needed, so I kind of took that, model and put it with my background in one-on-one ratio teaching, which I'm a big believer in. And, to be honest, started reading a lot of Dr. Temple Grandin's research and books she's put out, and her philosophy on, the importance of learning how to work and how individuals like herself would have been just completely combed over had she not gotten into something and been exposed to it. So, in essence, the whole philosophy of what we do is, we don't want to just get you hired. We don't want to just say, hey, mom and dad, we got so-and-so a job and good luck, pays X amount an hour. We want to teach our clients how to work, right? So that in essence is the inception of Open Door and kind of the philosophy that we've built upon.
That's great. So I have had the absolute pleasure of coming to Huntsville and seeing Open Door in action. And what I noticed was a really strong sense of community, both
Sure.
at Open Door and within the businesses that you partner with in the Huntsville area. Why don't you tell me a little more about that piece of it? So, what are the positive impacts that you've seen in the Huntsville community as you've grown up in Durham, connected with employers, and really said, hey, inclusive employment is something that we should all be doing, and it's not hard, and here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So, a lot of people hear autism, they understandably become a little nervous in regard to doing something, hosting a person with autism in their business. It can be difficult sometimes to kind of explain what we do and how we do it to someone that's not coming from a background of being around, neurodiverse individuals or people with differing abilities. So I think that, just them noticing the importance of when people realize that, or they see someone for their deficits alone, they end up losing a lot more than they can gain, and for as opposed to seeing their strengths, right? So
Yeah.
that's something that we kind of try to portray is, let's focus on the abilities of this individual, not the disabilities. It is a reason that, our job coaches are with them, is to help guide them and learn how to assimilate into a work environment, and that's socially and on the vocational side. So Huntsville community has been absolutely wonderful. They've been open to piloting and seeing how it goes with the client, and I can honestly say that out of all the environments and clients that we've had come through Open Door, there's never really been a negative instance or a negative response or anything of that nature. So I think once people kind of meet someone with neurodiversity and see what they're capable of and how joyful they are and happy to be there and they want to work, then it kind of, the personal side of things come out and they're like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. And this adds more value to our small business or our company. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point because this is a value add. This isn't something, while it's something I believe that as a society is very important, this is a business proposition that is worth the time and the investment. You get somebody who wants to work, somebody who shows up, somebody who wants to be part of the team.
Right.
So when you see your clients in these environments and you're fading yourself out and you see really a sense of dignity at work,
Absolutely.
um, what do you see as like as they become more independent? What are some of the things that you start to recognize?
Another great question. So, when we do an intake with a new client, which we do an intake and interview based on any type of service they do with us. We want to get to know them. We want to, obviously put the person first, not the diagnosis. And then we want to kind of work bottom up from that to place them in the right environment. So whatever's going to benefit them the most and help them grow, promoting a special interest they may have or whatever it may be. But the very first thing that we see and that we want to see that we can kind of baseline build upon as that foundation is confidence. It's the very first, that's when it's kind of clicks, you see it one day and you're like, all right, now we can, the client's malleable. We can work with this. We can get them to where their self-confidence is raised, and that's when they're really start to become teachable with teachable moments and the job training aspect of it, the social aspect of interacting in the workplace. So absolutely confidence, self-confidence, self-gratification in doing things for others in an environment that they've never really been in. That's absolutely the first visible sign that, all right, we're on the right track here. Yeah.
And so when you have a client and you fade out, and then they're independently working somewhere, do you check in, or does the organization reach out to you? Have you had an instance where you've placed more than one individual into a company in Huntsville?
Absolutely, yeah. So we tend to, you know, let them fly. You know, that's what we want, when we believe that they are confident enough to interact with whoever their supervisor may be, or you know, soliciting help is a big thing that we teach our clients, and really want them to grasp that, prior to us fading out. And if we feel comfortable that they're good at that aspect of it, we want to let them fly. So we might, you know, we have a pretty intimate relationship with our clients, and we stay in touch, and we'll, you know, text them or email, how are things going. But we want, the goal is independence, you know, in any capacity. So when we feel like that they are independent enough to, you know, a lot of people have a different idea of what they want when we do an intake. You know, independence for one client might be completely different for independence for another client, you know. So some of them, it could be holding a volunteer position independently. Others could be, you know, hired at that cybersecurity firm that they put 4 years, 5 years of college into. So it really differs, with the client, but we want them to be as independent as they possibly can. You know, supportive, not intrusive is kind of what we strive for. So we've got a lot of success stories where clients are still at the job they were placed in and have been there for 3 years and are doing very well. And, you know, but again, a baseline of learning how to work just opens up a lot of things in the future for them, regardless of if they stay at the position we have them in or not.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. When I was out there, I saw Grub South, which is a company that's sort of like a local Huntsville.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
they do not meal prep, they do delivery of food. It's sort of like a food delivery service.
Yeah.
And they have a bunch of people coding in the back and a bunch of people taking orders and some really super great owners and employees. And what I saw there was this was just a case of we hired somebody new. And they're a great employee and they show up to work on time and they do a great job. And this works for us because they do better than most people we've hired into this position.
Right.
And I was really happy to see that this wasn't something where we were convincing a group of people that they should do this. They seemed to really wholeheartedly embrace all of this. And they loved talking about it. And they loved being an inclusive employer. But they also loved to talk about the benefits really to their business. And it really just showed me again that sense of community that's in Huntsville. You know, it was a beautiful display of how can this work and how can it work well, because
Right.
it's working really well for you, David, in Huntsville. I imagine that you have a lot of work, so maybe you can talk about capacity, like how have you grown into this in Huntsville?
Yeah. So, you know, our environments are the lifeblood of what we do. You know, they are just as much. I always tell people, you know, especially for those with neurodiversity or autism or whatever it may be, you know, the modeling aspect, of that is so beneficial in, the fact of, we always want our clients to model up. You know, we want them to be placed in environments where they're going to get really good, you know, neurotypical modeling and conversation skills. And, you know, so the more environments we get, obviously, the more we can do, you know.
Right.
So that's where we do our work. Yes, we have, you know, we have social groups that we run here at the office, and we have Dungeons and Dragons, you know, life skill groups that we do. But, you know, that being in the moment and working and being around people and modeling that, modeling the conversations and how the workplace flows is just phenomenal experience for them. So, you know, we've grown by way of, you know, some companies talk to others, say, hey, this is really working. We enjoy it. You guys should try it out. X amount of years. They're
We
wonderful.
lost David just for a minute. We'll wait for him to come back.
Am I back?
There you are. You're back. Oh, for a second. I think you're a little choppy. Maybe, do you want to try and get off and get back on? While we wait for David to join back on, I will say that when I was in Huntsville, it was really great to see. Oh, here we go. Let's get David back here. Let's try one more time. All right. I think that we have lost David. But I would love for him to continue telling his story. We'll definitely do another Instagram live with Open Door and with David to keep telling his story. But if you would like to reach David, what we'll do is we'll put his information on the Parallel website, which is www.parallelintl.com, and we'll put his contact information and his company's website. So thanks for everybody that joined today, and we will be live next Monday at noon. Thanks.